Why, hello! Welcome to the show. It is Sunday, October 13th, 2019. Welcome to the show. And with that being said, I should probably hit some buttons here. Hi, Zach. How's it going?
Hi.
So,
It's all right.
what on? So Zach just told me that his computer just took a giant crap on him.
Well, I don't know. I just came back and it was blue screen. Whatever.
Did
Stuff
you
happens.
did you actually ever reinstall Windows?
No.
Well, that's probably why.
Okay, and that was the first time it's done that since I rebuilt it. So you know what? I'll call that a decent. That seems like about the same rate of blue screens I had with my old
Since you
setup.
rebuilt it, or since you attempted to update it and it freaked out on you and then rolled itself back?
That happened years ago. What?
That was not years ago. That was like a year ago.
I don't know. It was way longer.
Oh man, that's funny. But okay, well, something disable automatic updates. Because Microsoft won't let you do it on your own. Yeah. So anyway,
It doesn't matter. I don't know.
That's all a thing.
It's a fluke until it happens again. If it happens again, then I'm not very
happy. Then you're not very happy. Yeah, I wouldn't be either.
Again.
All right, on the show this week, Adobe going to be giving refunds to the Venezuelans. We'll talk about that. Google has some new Android rules. Of course, your favorite segment of the show, Microsoft news. Let's see, what else? Oh yes, macOS Catalina has some major issues with it. It's breaking a bunch of stuff. So, always fun to to basically crap on Apple. And the AMD RX 5500. So, yes. With that, let's roll the intro! So, I thought I'd try to be sly here and like take a drink out of my water bottle while the intro was playing. I couldn't get the cap off.
Good one.
I tightened it so tight that I couldn't get the cap off. So that's a thing that just happened. But anyway. So yeah. So did you hear about this? Basically, if you live in Venezuela and you use Adobe products, you are just effed now. Like, your subscription will be canceled at the end of the month.
I guess you'll just have to pirate it. Ugh.
Yeah, so this is going to affect users.
If I lived there, I would.
Well, this is.
You don't want my money? Fine, don't have it.
It's not that Apple doesn't, or not Apple. It's not that Adobe doesn't want your money. So basically, this is going to affect users of Venezuela. They sent an email out on Monday that said that accounts would be deactivated and will happen at the end of the month. And it's due to U.S. sanctions. So, basically, well, okay. So, there's some debate whether Adobe's decision is over compliance of the executive order, or if they're just like, I don't know. But anyway, they basically did say though that users are going to be receiving a refund. Well, actually, originally they said users weren't going to be receiving a refund because the company initially cited the U.S. executive order as the reason it wouldn't be able to give refunds because basically what the order stated was that cessation of all activity with the entities, including no sales, service, support, refunds, credits, etc.
So what's going on in Venezuela then? Why would they do that?
Something like corrupt. I don't know. It's all political, and I don't want to get too political on this show, but basically, the current administration has decided to try to throw sanctions at other countries, whether it be like for China because they feel that like China isn't playing fair with us, I think, or I don't know. It's all political and it goes way more than I want to talk about on the show, and two, more than I have kind of been paying attention ish enough to clearly talk about it on the show, basically.
Right.
But,
so politics, blah blah. Okay.
yeah. So I don't know whether it has to do with the fact that like something I read over like there are corrupt companies in Venezuela or something like that, and I'm sure it has to do with like government disagreements and other stuff like that. But yeah. So anyway, basically, so the current administration has said, hey, you know, we're throwing sanctions on Venezuela, and basically, Adobe, if they are complying with the executive order and not just ceasing operations, because, hey, now is a great time for whatever reason, is basically at first said, hey, because of this, we can't give you guys refunds. That later changed, though. The support documents have basically been updated, and that basically says that customers who purchase directly from Adobe will get refunds by the end of the month. And I don't know what they mean by refunds, if it means like for just a month, or like if you pay for like a whole year or something. Like I can see that one. Like if you pay for a whole year's worth of service, they're gonna like refund you the amount of money that like you won't actually be able to claim because of the fact that like you know, you won't have access to the programs. So anyway, users will be able to access the design-centric social network Behance, whatever the heck that is. Must be something that like Adobe owns or something like that. The sanctions were put into place in August, and Venezuela designers will have until October 28th to download any content on their accounts. So, we can confirm that Behance, will continue to be accessible in Venezuela, and customers who purchase directly from Adobe will be refunded by the end of the month. We are working with our partners on the same. We regret the difficulties this causes our customers. We will share more details about how our operations and customers' activity might be impacted as they become available. You know, just standard PR speak. So, but you know, this brings up an interesting conversation in terms of subscription-based services, because you don't directly own the software. So the company at any point can decide to just stop supporting it, and then you're screwed.
Yep.
So,
and this is why that's not how it should be.
There are arguments for doing it both ways, however, though. There are arguments for having subscription-based services, like, you know, okay, the fact that you always have something that's up to date, which is nice. Typically, you know, you're just, as long as you continue to pay for your subscription, any new updates that come out will just get fed to you. Now, that can be both a good thing and a bad thing, though. Windows 10.
You got a little bit of a cold there?
Man, I developed a nasty cough there.
Oh, just the worst.
Man, that was horrible. But yeah. So, like, yeah. Like, it's something I think about, because I pay for a subscription to Adobe Creative Cloud. So I have all the Adobe products, right? But as soon as I either A, stop paying, or they decide to just say, hey, no, we're going to shut off your account, Like, all of a sudden, you can't use the product anymore. So, you know?
And even if they have already got your money, they are allowed to do that. It's completely legal.
Well, so, you know, you sign off on the whole,
Technically speaking, you could say, yes, you signed that, but you have to in order to use the product.
Why does this keep doing this? Oh, goodness. Hang on.
You know.
Oh, goodness gracious. Hang on. I apparently need to remember to check the white balance on my camera every week because apparently it just doesn't stay where it's supposed to be. Hang on. Adjust this down. It was like changing all over the place on me, and I was like, what? That doesn't look right. So that looks a little bit better. So yeah. Anyway, that's a thing that's happening, which is kind of crummy, but you know, I don't live in Venezuela, so yes, it's crummy for them. It doesn't affect me right now, which is great. Until it does affect me.
Scary precedent, though.
It is. It is. You know. So what are these?
They will. If so inclined, they can just take away your service with no.
You know what? So here's an interesting thing, right? So yes, you can back up your projects, right, and have all that stuff, but you now have a program. You don't have a program to open that stuff, which is going to be an issue, especially like in the case of like so. So I used to work for TV. Well, I technically still work for the TV station, but anyway. So the TV station exclusively uses Adobe products for creative services. The creative services department uses Adobe products to create graphics that you see on the newscast, and specifically spots or commercials. And the thing is that a lot of times a client, you know, will have a project already built, right? And a client will say, hey, I want you to run basically this exact same, you know, spot that you ran a couple months ago, just update a couple things in it. So basically we have a shell. So now think about this, right? So if you've had these project files for a really long time, now you basically have to recreate this stuff in a different program because you can no longer edit those files because you no longer have a program to edit them with. So, it's going to be kind of catastrophic in, I think, some aspects for yeah, especially creative people in Venezuela. So, kind of crummy, very crummy. But anyways, let's talk about this. So, Google is now going to require digital well-being and USB-C PD charging standard for new Android phones.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's actually interesting because that means that every phone running Android will have a fast charging support.
Right. Yes. So, well, okay, this is alleged, but Google introduced new guidelines that Android device makers must follow if they want to use its services. So this is like, don't expect this to be coming to the Huawei phone anytime soon because, you know, they've already just written off, you know, Android basically. I don't think that is going to go well for them.
I mean, it's China.
Yeah,
I won't even pretend to be knowledgeable about what will go well there and what.
Yeah, we could be wrong. We could be wrong. But I think the problem is that if you drop support for Android, like Android is and at least in the United States, I don't know what the majority of phones are running in China, but I'm assuming it's probably, well, you know, it would be interesting to see how many. I wonder if the device use case is what market platform is higher in China, Android or iPhone?
It is almost definitely Android.
Well, there are a lot more Android-based devices, I think, built in China. Or
the
Android-based
iPhone is also
companies.
Built in China.
What I meant to say was Android-based companies like Samsung and...
the Samsung is a South Korean company, I believe.
Is it? But even still,
Yes.
it's still in Asia.
Yeah, but that's not China.
Well, it's not China, but it's
a big
Asia.
difference given the the government that exists in China versus other places.
Yeah. All I'm saying is like it's Asia. It's like this product is made in North America. We're more likely in in the United States to probably favor those devices. It's one of those like.
No, I feel like most people don't care where their device is made.
Yes, and you know what? You're probably right. Does it work? Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Yeah. See, here's your brand new Huawei phone. It's spying on you. I don't know if they ever actually confirmed that or not. So, but I think that was like they thought that like because it was a Chinese based phone that like the Chinese government had like built in like spying tools or something, and that's why like now they've got like they banned them for a while or something like that. So
I feel like there's more to it than that.
Who knows?
There's got to be some kind of reason that they think that.
Well, I think China traditionally has some kind of like I don't know. Like, look at China's government, though, with the spying that they do. In fact, I think they even started developing school uniforms that would allow the parents to basically track where their children were, like, throughout the day.
I bet that's a thing. I guarantee you that there's some truth to that.
You know what? Let me ask you this. Now,
and that's just dumb.
Okay. So we obviously get where Zach is coming from. See, this is an interesting concept, though, because Zach has no desire to ever have kids.
Yes, but I, still was a kid once upon a time.
No, but what I'm saying is from a parent standpoint, not the kid standpoint, because to be completely honest, the kid really doesn't have a say.
If I were a parent, I wouldn't want this either. I wouldn't. I don't. That's just over the line. You know what I mean? That's just way over the line. Like, what the heck?
See, okay, I have a different viewpoint. Okay, so I don't necessarily super agree with it, but at the same time, okay, here's an interesting concept. Okay, do you give a kid or not an iPhone, but like a phone in general? Do you give a kid a phone? And if so, what kind of phone? Flip phone or smartphone, but only has certain capabilities? Like, this is an interesting question here.
I don't know.
No, I'm asking you specifically. What would you do?
I don't know.
Would you give your kid, if you have one, a phone?
Maybe a hand-me-down.
Okay, and
depends also on the age of the kid.
That's another good question. At what age do you give a kid a phone? At what age?
And at what age are they to buy their own as well?
Okay, at what age is it appropriate for you to give them a phone, though? See, this is an interesting question.
I think that my sibling got one at 11. I would have killed for one at 11, personally.
When did you get your first phone?
Maybe 13, and it was a piece of crap. So it barely even counts.
What? Wait, what was your first phone again?
It was one of those ones with a slide keyboard.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yep. Mm-hmm. So 13, so what? Oh, man.
I don't know. I only know that I was in 7th grade.
Okay, so you were in 7th grade. So I was in 7th grade as well when I got my first cell phone. And so the reasoning for me getting a cell phone at that age, and I think this is important, is because I was starting to become more independent and doing things on my own. So it was a way for, for me to stay connected and to notify, people where I was at, basically. And I think that's the important thing. So here's my viewpoint on this is, let's say I have a kid that is doing, say, after school activities or whatever, and is staying late. At that point, I think it is okay to give them a phone. No matter what age they're at, I think it's okay to give them a phone at that point. However, what kind of device I give a child at that point, I think, is something that I look at. You know, if they're in elementary school, then probably something like a track phone, probably, that can literally just text and make phone calls, and that's probably it. Or having some really good kind of and see, here's the thing. So I think some kind of parental control is actually not a horrible thing up to a certain point. You know, between a certain age, I think it is responsible and okay, and after a certain age, it's okay, you're old enough to know what's right and wrong. Hopefully you make the right decisions. If you don't, but
if you don't, then it sucks to be you.
Well, so I think also at a certain point, I think it's important for kids to be able to have some freedom and make their own mistakes. Just in somewhat of a sandbox, I guess, but not like a full sandbox, if that makes any sense at all. So, I like I said, I think it depends on what it is. Obviously, I'm not gonna let the kid go drive a car or something like that. But having a phone with internet capabilities at 13, yeah, sure, you're becoming a teenager and you're gonna do something stupid, of course, or go somewhere where you're not supposed to go. Okay, fine, but It's here's the thing. If somebody really wants to get around something, they're going to find a way around it. But, is an elementary school kid more likely to figure out how to bypass, some kind of parental control versus, say, somebody who's 13 or something like that?
Hey, I'd be impressed if they did.
Yeah.
Be like, wow, you really want this.
Right. I think it's a maturity thing too. I think, if you have a child who exhibits more maturity, then I think that it's okay to then give them more responsibilities and less, parental control, kind of, I guess. I don't know. I feel like I'm going to be that parent that screws with my kids just because I can.
You suck. Glad you're not my parent.
It depends on what it is, though. I think for the most part, I can see myself putting my kids on their own separate network, or something to monitor their traffic, to a certain point or whatever. But I think it also depends on versus whether you're grounded or not, or I don't know.
The more you talk, the more I'm glad you're not my parent.
Honestly,
I wouldn't want that.
Okay, but see, here's the thing. Okay, so having a phone is
I would have been freaked out about that.
Having a phone.
Why are you watching my traffic?
It's more of a scare tactic than anything. I probably actually wouldn't. I'd probably just be like, I'm too lazy to actually go figure out where they're going. So, anyway, like I said, I'd probably do it more to just screw with my kids than anything. I don't know. You know what's funny though? So today, right, is all the I don't know. Well, so I don't know at what age or what, I think ninth grade or something like that, or I don't remember. I don't remember at what age, what grade you become confirmed in the Catholic Church. Yeah. Anyway, but anyway, so all the kids that are getting ready to be confirmed are all in class and things like that. And I happened to bump into one of them sitting in the classroom with his phone out, and I'm like, "What are you doing on my?" Just jokingly, I was basically like, "So I manage the entire network and can basically see where you're going and things like that and kick you off." He was like, "No." Like, I can if I want to. But anyway.
I mean, if they were using a data connection, you can.
No, not if they're using a data connection, but like if they're on my network, I can totally kick them off. In fact, I've done it just to prove a point, not like yeah, here, see, I can kick you off if I want. And I've kicked them off, but like I knowingly told them I was going to do it. But anyway, back to this, however, though. So Google introduced new guidelines that that Android device makers are gonna have to follow if they want to use the Google services. And according to technical documents obtained by XDA developers, Google will require new Android devices to be compatible with USB-C PD chargers. Kind of cool. So USB-C PD is an open standard for USB-C that allows for fast charging speeds.
If I remember correctly, it's not really as good as some of the proprietary solutions in terms of charging speed, but it's still way better.
Yeah, so OnePlus's Warp charging, Samsung's Fast Charge, and others haven't played nicely with third-party accessories in the past. And I think that this is one thing that Google is trying to fix here.
Warp Charge is the worst about that, by far. It requires their own brick and cable to work.
Yep, yeah. It has to use the charger in the box to get the advertised speeds for charging. So basically what Google is saying is that, you basically, like, your fast charging has to be compatible with anything on the market. Which is great for the end user,
Oh, it's great. Yeah, absolutely. That's a good thing for sure. Proliferation of fast charging solutions.
Yeah, so at the Android 7 Nugget launch, Google merely suggested that developers basically shy away from proprietary charging methods, saying that someday it might require all Type-C devices to support fully interoperability with standard Type-C chargers. But now it has supposedly made it mandatory moving forward. So now this is interesting. So let's see. Great. So does this mean that Android devices are now going to have to be USB-C as well? Or does this just mean that any device that has USB-C charging has to be compatible with this? See, because here's the interesting thing. If they're saying, no, it has to have a USB-C charger, that's kind of cool.
Well, I think there's still going to be like lower tier devices that use the like micro USB.
But see,
chargers.
that's what I'm wondering.
And those are incapable of being compatible. So.
But it's new devices moving forward. So
I don't know. I mean, micro USB is just naturally going to be phased out anyway.
Well, that's true.
Regardless of what Google says
that's
or doesn't
true, but
say.
Is Google basically just pushing it along now and saying, yep, USB-C?
I don't think they are.
So another big change is the requirement of digital well-being. Do you know what that is?
Some kind of app that monitors how much you use your phone.
Yes. So
I don't know. It's supposed to be built in.
Google's tools introduced in Android 9 Pie can monitor app usage and notifications, adjust your screen's color profile to reduce eye fatigue, and Family Link parental controls that help parents monitor and control their family's devices.
Honestly, like I think that some of my bias against these tools comes from the fact that they were used against me once upon a time. But like seriously, that's just hearing that.
See, okay, like again, that. so
because that just like that really upset me, Like,
well, yes, okay,
gosh,
and see, here's the thing.
I was sad about that.
Here's the thing. Okay, so how old were you when these tools were deployed?
I would have been at least a teenager.
Okay, so here's the thing, okay? I think, and again, and this is my thing on this, is elementary school age, you're still, I think a child at that age is still vulnerable to a lot of things, still learning, and even as a teenager, yes, you are, but I think the way to look at it is here's my viewpoint on it. Elementary school age, yeah, I'm probably going to be more likely to be overly cautious about my child and therefore implement some of these tools in place basically because I'm trying to protect my child basically.
It's a good thing I'm not a parent.
Well, I'm not either, but that's what I'm saying.
I don't have enough energy to care about that kind of stuff.
It's a good thing
Like,
you're
it's
not
just
a parent.
it's just better for the world that I'm not.
It's a good thing that you're not a parent. But so that is the thing. There is that I think that that's important. It's more there to be. What is it?
I mean, I guess more.
Oh,
Hard to argue with that, at least.
it's more what? Oh goodness, are we having? I wonder if we're having some issues here.
What are we having issues about?
I don't know. I don't know if Redmond is freaking out for whatever reason or. Oop. Hang on. What is going on here? That's Discord. Huh. Not quite sure what's going on here. I don't know if Redmond was having a derp moment there or something like that, or what exactly was going on, but anyway.
You got it from my computer. Well, you didn't blue screen, so.
You infected my computer, Zach!
Yep. Enjoy your virus. Pay me bitcoins and I'll get rid of it.
Did you say 80 bitcoins?
I said pay me bitcoins.
Oh, pay me bitcoins.
80 bitcoins is like a lot of money.
Is it really?
Yeah, bitcoins are how much? A few $1,000s at least. I don't know.
Really?
At one point they were almost 20 grand.
Hang on. I think it depends on what Bitcoin you're talking about.
Bitcoin
or not. I'm sorry.
is only one thing.
I was thinking cryptocurrency.
You're thinking cryptocurrency.
Yeah, I was thinking cryptocurrency. That is a great question. What is?
How much is Bitcoin worth? I don't know.
Holy mackerel!
How much is it worth?
1 Bitcoin equals $8,311.27.
That's a bit of money.
Holy mackerel! I thought I honestly thought Bitcoin was like way less than what $1 was. Oh. So, okay, here's a good question, and I don't know because I don't really pay attention, and you probably don't either. Where does the value for Bitcoin come from? Because that's the underlying thing. Currency only has a value because of something that it's tied to.
I actually, that's something I don't really understand. There is some reason that it has value. I know it, but I don't know. I think it's something related to the blockchain that is, central to its operation.
Okay.
I really actually don't know.
Because actual U.S. currency, U.S. legal tender, is based off the price of gold or something like that. Gold is what
backed by gold and.
Yeah, it's backed by gold and that's what actually gives U.S. currency its value.
Pretty much because it's $1 is a percentage of that gold, basically.
Yeah, same thing with Bitcoin.
But
$1.
What is Bitcoin a unit of? I don't know.
Right, yeah, but something has to give it value, otherwise it
Yes, I'm sure there's something. It's not just valueless.
Oh,
it's not just. It doesn't just have value because they say so. It's got some reason to have value.
That'd be the most interesting currency. This has value because I say it has value. So, anyway, manufacturers must implement these features into new phones and tablets using Android 9 or Android 10 moving forward, Okay, so basically, if you're running a lesser version, then you don't have to worry about this. But devices updated to either operating system after September 3rd, 2019 must also contain these features. The document supposedly states that Google will accept custom solutions from manufacturers so long as they offer the same function set as Digital Wellbeing and Family Link. So basically, parental controls and like digital well-being. So, and again, okay. So here's the thing, right? So, as soon as my child is at an age where they can kind of make their own decisions to a certain degree, then I will give them more freedom in terms of what it is that they do. So, yeah, you're a teenager now. You know, like, you're gonna be able to drive a car, right? So I might as well at this point give you more freedom. You know, yeah, you want a phone with internet capabilities? Sure. You know, am I gonna monitor what you do on your device? Probably not, unless, you know, I notice that you're starting to get yourself into trouble or something like that. Then at that point, you know, like you know, I don't have a problem like giving a long leash per se. So, but I think the problem is that parents don't trust their kids enough sometimes. Or the other way around, or not the other way around, but or parents do too much to try to protect their kids.
Something about helicopter parents.
Helicopter parents?
There's a term for that, yeah. Overprotective parents.
See, I don't think that's good for a child.
Oh no, it's terrible.
Well, okay, at a certain point, I think that it is important for a child to make their own mistakes. Now, granted, okay, I want to limit...
I'm sure there's scientific evidence for that.
I want to limit what some of those mistakes are. You know, like, obviously, like, you know, going to some kind of website and infecting your device with a virus is less severe than, like, you know, getting arrested for breaking a law or something like that. Like that's what I mean. So, but anyway, so
if my kid get a virus on their computer, yeah, whatever, no problem.
Yeah, unless it becomes one of those ones that spreads and like encrypts your entire network.
Yeah, I mean,
no,
you're right.
Backups.
That is a problem, and I am guilty of basically not doing them. My desktop,
you know,
because I don't know. I mean, like if any one of my hard drives, well, I have several hard drives in my computer. Not everything is not on one hard drive. So while I suppose I would be fairly, I wouldn't be in too much trouble if a single hard drive failed on my computer. You know, obviously if some ransomware got on my computer and encrypted everything, yeah, I'm stuffed. That happens, but
yeah. So you know, we talk about doing backups. I should be better at doing backups, but I'm not.
Well, we don't do them because we suck.
So I took the old secretary PC from the church, and I plan to turn it into some kind of NAS solution, but I have to back up all the data that's currently on it. Oh my gosh, there's a lot of stuff in there. So I got to figure out where I'm going to store that all temporarily until I can put it back on. But yeah, there's a fair amount of data there. So, which would be completely gone if, like, you know, if that computer ever got, like, you know, something on it or whatever. So I'm looking into trying to create some kind of redundant system to hopefully protect all that stuff. So anyway, moving on with the show for this week. Of course, it is our favorite time to talk about Microsoft here. And so Zach, you know what Mixer is, right?
Some kind of like crap version of Twitch or something. I don't know. I think Twitch is crap too. I think everything's crap, but whatever.
Yes, Microsoft's Twitch platform is basically their solution to Twitch or YouTube gaming. But Mixer's co-founders Matt Salzamendi and James J. Bohem, anyway, basically the two co-founders both left the live streaming company over the past 2 weeks. So that's a thing. So at the time when the service is undergoing some of its biggest changes to date, they both leave. Now, Bohem, I don't know how you pronounce this guy's name. He announced his departure from Mixer on October 22nd, and Salzamendi, I don't know. He announced he was going to be leaving on October 10th. The pair launched Mixer, initially known as Beam, in January of 2016. And then Microsoft acquired the company in August of 2016 and renamed it to Mixer in 2017. So, now, Bohm didn't announce what his next steps was. Salzamenti, we're going with those. I'm probably, just like murdering those. But anyway, used his farewell letter on Twitter to talk about his next journey in lasers. For as long as I can remember, I've been fascinated with the idea of using light to represent music. He wrote, "Growing up, I dreamed of running lighting for EDM festivals and tours, and I want to pursue that passion in a bigger way." Now their departure comes at a time when Mixer is making big splashes, or bigger splashes than ever in the gaming industry. Get this, Zach. Mixer has become the third largest streaming service.
Funny, because I've never heard of anyone using it.
Just behind Google-owned YouTube and Amazon-owned Twitch. Through Microsoft, the streaming service has also started working on partnerships with popular streamers, including Tyler Ninja Belvins. Or Blevins? I probably just murdered that too. I'm not a gamer. But apparently Ninja is huge, and so that moved a lot of people over to the platform because he's basically signed a exclusive deal with Mixer that basically says like this is his home platform and like he will not stream on any other platform. So and from what my understanding is, like Ninja is huge, therefore he took a lot of people with him. So
yes, that's true.
Putting them on the map, putting Mixer on the map.
I don't know. I only know the name. I've never watched him.
So, but
I don't care.
So it does lead to the question as to why the founders have left the company. I don't know. Maybe they don't like the direction Microsoft is going. There's not really anything like super great in there, but yeah, they just have left the company. So anyway, who knows why? Let's crap on Apple though, real quick. How does that sound?
Yeah, I like that idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Apple's latest Mac update, macOS Catalina, was released earlier this week, and it came with a flurry of complaints, both minor and major. So, this update is the first for Apple to drop. What do you think they dropped?
Headphone jacks? No. I don't know.
No, it's a software update. They basically dropped support for 32-bit applications. Which caused all sorts of headaches for users of smaller apps, plugins, and other software. We probably don't realize how many apps still run in 32-bit, like as 32-bit apps.
Sure, a lot of them do, yeah.
So because of Apple's decision to basically just like pull 32-bit support, any apps that rely on anything 32-bit cease to work after the update. So yeah, that's causing just a few issues with stuff. So basically, with like software that may have not been updated for a long time, or excuse me, or software that was developed by like companies that no longer exist. So it just doesn't work. There's also a fair number of other issues with Catalina. Adobe software incompatibility problems and unforeseen hurdles related to the removal of iTunes. Because you heard about that, they took iTunes out and like combined it as like a different app. So
No,
yeah, iTunes,
I didn't hear about that
Yeah.
because I don't use a Mac.
Well, you don't need to. You can still run iTunes on a PC.
Yeah.
So anyway, but yeah, in the Apple ecosystem, iTunes just doesn't exist anymore. It's gone. At least in Catalina, it is.
Funny.
So, Apple first announced that it would drop. Now, see, here's the thing. Okay, so I do have to give Apple credit for announcing that they were going to implement this move. It's not like they just did it, right? But they basically announced that they were going to drop support for 32-bit apps more than a year and a half ago. So developers have had enough time to figure out what they wanted to do. But now, and I don't know the logistics of writing a program. I don't know how much goes into converting a program from 32-bit to 64-bit.
Yep, not a programmer here either.
So, yeah, I don't know. So I don't know if a year and a half is enough time for them to theoretically rework their software or not. But, excuse me. It's basically resulted in a lot of understandably messy problems, especially for like legacy programs like GarageBand and even like discontinued iWorks apps, like Apple's photo editor and like iDVD and things like that. iPhoto, I think, is one of them. But Photoshop uses some 32-bit licensing components and installers, so basically just won't work after the update. Like gone. Just doesn't work at all. And Adobe's uninstaller will not function either. So basically, if you have an older version of Adobe and you do the update, you're just not going to be able to uninstall it, at least with the uninstaller. You're going to have to like manually uninstall it. So, other software affected includes older versions of Microsoft Office. Those legacy Mac apps that we talked about. And not that anyone would, but games are also likely to not function. Although, let's be honest, who's really gaming on a Mac?
One.
Right? That is not the name of that website. Let me that's what it's supposed to be. So the tape drive has compiled a list of, get this, 235 apps and counting that will no longer work if you upgrade to Catalina. And the drop of iTunes is also causing major problems for DJs because some of those programs relied on like file formats and stuff from the iTunes program. So they're basically just screwed if they update. And Apple will make you aware of the software that's not going to work before you do the upgrade. But I don't know how super comprehensive it is or what. But anyways. So that's all a thing. But yeah. So this is what happens when you drop support for 32-bit applications. You create a whole bunch of issues. Now, okay, like it's funny, is it really Apple's fault or not though? That's the question here.
I don't know.
Yeah. Anyway.
Not really that important to me, to be honest.
not really that important. It's kind of funny though that like Apple develops this brand new operating system, but most people can't use it right now because they're just relying on too many apps that are 32-bit. So like all creative people that are running like Adobe's products, like Creative Cloud stuff, like a lot of Creative Cloud stuff still relies on 32-bit processes and stuff like that. So
I mean, again, it's probably stuff that is just so old, and they're like, it's not broken, don't fix it.
Right, yeah.
But
is there, here's the question: are there any security benefits to, or performance? I don't know if there's any security or performance increases to, that arise with not supporting. Like, I wonder what Apple's reasoning for dropping 32-bit support was. I don't know, maybe it makes the operating system easier to write. I don't know. But anyway. So yeah, so if you own a Mac, don't upgrade. if you want your stuff to work, basically. So kind of funny. It's kind of like a Microsoft derp moment for upgrades, I think. But anyway. All right, Zach, moving right along. AMD's Radeon RX 5500 is its new entry-level competitor to NVIDIA's GTX 1650. You weren't that impressed with the story, though, yet, were you?
Yeah, because there's not really that much to talk about. Well, and I should say that two of the most important sets of numbers are not present, which is price tag and benchmarks.
What is going on?
So, I don't know. I mean, obviously benchmarks vary greatly. There are good benchmarks and there are not so good ones, but I mean, all I can really tell you is that this is, this must be some kind of, well, as it says, it's a competitor to the GTX 1650. And just based on some of the specs, it might even fall closer to the 60 series, but I don't know. That's really all I can tell you about it. That's not much.
Well, yeah. So hang on. Let's fire this up here. So let's
wish they had something for the high end, because it would very favorably influence the market. Even if you weren't looking to purchase an AMD card, it would favorably influence the market.
Yeah, so AMD has announced its second series of GPUs based on its 7nm RDNA architecture. RDNA, does that stand for anything? You probably have no idea, do you?
Oh, sorry, what did you ask me?
The RDNA, the RDNA architecture, like, is that just what they're calling it, or does that actually mean anything?
I think it's a name for something. As I told you earlier, I haven't really paid much attention recently, at all. I have a tendency to pay attention to to pieces of hardware that I'm interested in buying when I'm in the market for something. I haven't been in the market for a GPU for 4 years.
Come on, Mr. Hardware Guy.
Anyway, yes. Look. Shut up. Anyway. As I understand, gosh, what was the name of their old one? I completely forget the name of their old one. It's called it'll come to me.
Well, you were excited.
They had a name for their old architecture, which goes back so many years. So many years.
I don't know. You were excited about Vega, and then Vega ended up just being like a giant, steaming pile.
Finally, a high-end competitor. Not at all.
What was it? Anyway. What was it good for? Was it even good for creative work or just
space heating?
Space heating. Oh man.
Anywho, I'm still trying to think of the old name for the architecture that they had.
Something Google is a thing.
I'm Googling it now. GCN! Haha!
Which stands for what?
It stands for something stupid.
Oh, Graphics Core Next.
What does that even mean? What? That's a stupid name. But anyway, It's been around for a long time.
More stupid
And-
than the 1090 like 9400X or whatever Intel is doing with their 10th generation processor names. Do you remember? You remember how?
Yeah, I remember that.
Oh man. What is it? Yeah, Graphics Core Next architecture is designed to fuel the most modern PC gaming experience, excel at content design and creation, as well as break new boundaries in compute performance. Okay.
So let's look at Wikipedia and see how old GCN is. I'm fairly sure it's like pretty old. Yeah, it's pretty old. Let's no nice charts for me here. Ugh.
You know what? We should have you create.
Well,
those
it goes all the way
charts for
back
us.
to the HD product line, so it's pretty old. Like at least 7-8 years old, at least.
Wow.
The actual details of this architecture far beyond my level of understanding. But this recently they're doing something new, which is this RDNA thing. Woohoo! That's cool. It's always good to get rid
That's
of.
cool. Whatever happened to
They're just dusting out, you know.
Whatever
they're finally
happened to-
getting rid of this dusty crap.
Whatever happened to Intel's discrete graphics card?
I don't know. I have no idea. I hope it's a thing. I mean,
I do
like,
too. It'll be good for the
Intel can be trash sometimes, or all the time.
Would you
like
hear
all
AMD
companies.
prices
But-
are going up?
But Intel being a player in the GPU market can only be good things for the price of stuff. It's just good. It's just good. More competitors, more for us, you know? Anyway, architectures are not something I'm knowledgeable about at all. It means they're doing something new.
This is interesting
cool.
here though. So
This card, some kind of mid-range competitor. Couldn't really tell you much more than that based on what's here.
basically, AMD says that these cards are based on are aimed at running games at 1440p resolution. So, high frame rates to compete with NVIDIA's mid-range RTX Super cards. Its latest GPUs have more modest specs and aim to offer decent performance at a resolution of 1080p. AMD is producing two versions of the new GPU, the RX 5500, which is going to be for desktop machines, and the RX 5500M going to be for laptops. The company boasts that these cards should offer better performance than NVIDIA's GTX 1650 and GTX 1650 mobile GPUs, respectively. We don't have any specs, though, so we don't know if that's actually true or not. And aren't specs kind of just like irrelevant anyways? Because like don't they pick that stuff? Like they run a bunch of tests and then they just pick the best results? Or am I wrong about that? How does that work? Still there? Oh, maybe not. Did we lose Zach? Oh, hi. Are you back? What the heck happened there?
Hello?
Yeah,
I don't know.
can you hear me?
Yes?
Okay. What the heck happened there?
Alright, what were you saying? I don't know. I
Uh,
thought a fluke until it happened again.
Man, maybe your computer is having some issues.
No.
No, what I was saying was that aren't benchmarks kind of irrelevant because basically the companies just like run a bunch of benchmarks and then pick the best numbers to make themselves look better?
Oh no, you never listen to the company provided benchmarks at all. About that. Of course, they're always going to benchmark, you know, a part of a game or whatever that's or a part of a game or a program or a specific piece of software that makes them look good. Of course,
Right?
Why wouldn't they?
Yeah.
So you know, you got to look for the independent stuff.
No, no pricing has been made available yet, and here is why. Because the cards, AMD is not making any reference cards. They're just gonna let their partners do it. So
So we don't know how much it costs.
No, we can make an assumption, however, though.
We can make an assumption that if it's going to compete with the 1650, that it should probably be priced similarly.
Well, okay,
but,
they're going to compare. We're comparing the prices or the performance to its previous RX 480 and Nvidia's GTX 10 or 1650. So at launch, do you actually know the launch prices or not?
Nope.
Well, if you opened up the bullet points I gave you.
I'm looking at the article, not the bullet points.
Oh, well, the bullet points are basically the article. But
wait, are you talking about the prices of the 5700 and the 5700X?
No, I'm talking about the price at
oh
launch
wait,
for the
oh yeah,
RX
never mind. I
480
see it.
and the
Fine.
Nvidia GTX 1650.
1650 launched at $150.
Mm-hmm. And the
I'm sure it'll be in somewhere in the $150 to $200 range.
yeah,
I mean, I don't know how it stacks up against the 16 series.
Yeah, and the 480 launched at 269. So now this is interesting. The MSI Alpha 15 is going to be paired with a new GPU with an AMD Ryzen 7 3750H and a 1080p 1440 144 hertz FreeSync display. Is that in or AMD's solution to like FreeSync or I mean G-Sync?
Yes. Yes. So, NVIDIA wants it dead, of course, but it's a thing.
What does G-Sync actually do?
Differently? Nothing.
No,
they're
like
basically
just in general.
Same thing.
Just in general. Like what is it actually supposed to do?
It lets your monitor change its refresh rate to match the frame rate of your content. So let's say you're playing a game and your frame rate is 80 frames per second, right? You're on your 144 hertz monitor. So your monitor can't actually do that, right? Your monitor can't do 80. So your monitor's probably doing 60. Like there are certain refresh rates that your monitor is capable of. It's like, I don't know. It would be okay. So you'd have its highest possible refresh rate, and then I think most 144 hertz monitors can do 120. I would assume, and they can probably do half of their stated refresh rate as well as I think 60. But if you're anywhere in between, you're just rounded down essentially.
Interesting. So it's supposed to make up more like
adaptive sync monitors they have like a zone where they can be, whatever refresh rate they need to be.
And it's all to give a better experience then, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
I probably did a terrible job of explaining and maybe got some things wrong. So the moral of the story is that you're...
Come on, hardware guy, you're letting me down.
Shut up. That's why I don't like when you call me that.
But okay, hang on.
But anyway,
yes, I expect you to.
The monitor has certain refresh rates that it's capable of doing, and if your frame rate is anywhere in between those, it's going to be rounding down and costing you visible frames. If you have a poor man's monitor that doesn't support.
See, here's the thing, okay? I call you the hardware guy because you know more about hardware than I do, but then I think my
here we go again.
No. I think my expectations of what you know in terms of hardware are higher than what they might actually be.
Probably.
I'm giving you more credit than maybe I should be giving you.
Probably.
So, anyway, I don't know. I thought you knew more about this stuff than I thought you did. So
I just don't pay much attention anymore.
I know, that's sad. You should.
Because I pay attention when I'm in the market for something. It's the only time it matters to me.
Or, on the off chance that the channel if
I'm in the market for a good new graphics card, you bet I'll be paying attention.
Right, or the channel explodes and we start getting sent stuff.
Oh, sure.
Then you'd probably start caring, wouldn't you?
Perhaps. lot of buzzwords in this article here. Like, what's a Radeon image sharpening? Radeon anti-lag.
Yeah, let's talk about the specs that we do have though here. So the Radeon RX 5500 series versus the Radeon RX 5700 series here. So what do we? You know what? We're gonna go like this.
It's a little over half of a 5700 XT in terms of compute units.
Well, let's see. So the RX 5500M, which is the mobile one, up to a 1448 or 1448 megahertz.
It's the same. It's the same chip with a lower clock and less memory because of its TDP, which is a little bit over half.
Yeah, so you go from like on the mobile platform from 85 watts to 185 watts, and from 150 watts to 225 watts. So let's see, stream processors. Now, what are stream processors and how important are they?
It's just a core, an individual core, and a compute unit is like a block of cores.
Okay. So, wait. So the mobile processor for the 5500M and the 5500
It is the same.
Is the same.
It's the same. As I said, it has lower clock speed, thus its lower compute capability.
Yeah. SP compute. What's SP? See, I don't know this stuff because I don't pay attention to hardware. I probably should. Do you not know that one?
Never heard it labeled that.
SP compute. Well, teraflops is a unit of measurement that measures what again?
Number of operations per second.
So it's kind of like IPC. Or am I completely wrong?
No, because IPC is instructions per clock, whereas your teraflops is like how many operations you can do per second, which depends on the number of clocks you can do in a second. It's like the number of clocks you can do in a second times however much you can do in one clock at a really rough level.
I see. This is typically why I make you talk about this stuff because
there's not like a benchmark that you can run that says this is how many teraflops you have.
Right. Usually these numbers make way more sense to you though than they do to me. So obviously though the higher the numbers the better though. I know that.
Well, of course, yes.
So this is interesting.
Well, I do find it interesting how the 5500 has a quite hefty amount of RAM.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it says up to 8 gigabytes. I guess.
So I guess it depends on how you configure it then. You know, your specific configuration. So, but no, I was looking at that too. I was like, like so your RX 5500, the 5700, and the 5700 XT, you know, all have the 5700 and the 5700 XT both have.
They have 8 gigabytes.
Yeah, they have 8 gigabytes, which is pretty decent. And then your 5500 can contain up to 8 gigabytes. What do you
8 gigabytes is kind of the standard for the mid-range these days.
Is it?
Yes.
See, that's what I was going to ask you. I was like, what do you think they actually ship with?
5500? I don't know. I mean, for example, the 1060, and I think the 2060 has 6 gigabytes. So it, you know, if they're meant to compete with the 60 series, they probably would have around that, either 6 or 8. I mean, AMD cards do often have a bit of extra memory compared to their NVIDIA counterparts.
And this says here, with the RX 5700, AMD has significantly closed the performance gap with NVIDIA in the mid-range. Now, they'd have to take the new RDNA architecture beyond the sub $400 price point, though, to basically make things really interesting. So, but I don't know. We'll see. I don't think that this is gonna create like the market buzz like it did with, like, you know, between like Intel and or you know, Intel's Core lineup and Nvidia's.
It's kind of a it's kind of been a bit of time since an AMD GPU has really shook up the market.
Yeah, I mean, like, okay, it would be like, and obviously they are different departments, but like with the what is it? Basically the, shall we say, well, I was gonna say earth shattering, but not earth shattering. The shakeup, shall we say, of like AMD coming in with Ryzen and Threadripper, you know, like it'd be cool to see something.
Oh, Radeon's
like that.
not going to come anywhere close to that.
No, but it would be cool.
It'd be great if they did.
It'd be cool to see AMD, like, you know, like come into Nvidia's market space like that. But anyway,
I kind of hope that Intel would do that, to be honest.
You know what? Yeah, that'd be interesting too. You know, the more options we have on the market, the more interesting it's gonna make things. So can you imagine though? Like, oh yeah, I just bought my new GPU. Well, what did you pick up? I picked up an Intel.
Crazy, yeah.
So what are you gonna have? You're gonna have Team Green, Team Red, and Team Blue now?
It'd be crazier if Nvidia started to make a CPU.
Oh my god! So, just built a new computer. Oh, what chip did you go with? Oh, you know, Nvidia's. So, anyway, I don't know. I still, you know, I'm still partial to Nvidia. Right now, I don't see myself going AMD anytime soon, but I don't know. I just don't know enough about stuff. So what I need comparison charts that are like, you know, here is Intel stuff, here's AMD stuff, you know. Like, here's where they kind of compare.
Unfortunately, past the mid-range of GPU, AMD don't really make anything competitive.
Yeah. Again, you were so excited about Ryzen, or not Ryzen. You were excited
Wasn't
about
that excited. Relax.
Yeah, but
I was planning to upgrade if it would pass the test, but it did not pass the test.
Well, I remember you're like, yeah, like Vega looks really good, and then like we found out that it wasn't gonna be great for gaming. You're like, yeah, now I'm over that.
Well, I don't think I would have said that it looks really good before there's any information.
Well, no. Okay, so the expectation was going to be that it was going to be good for.
Wanted to see the information. That's right.
Right, and then it came out. You're just like, well, yeah, nope. So, hey Zach, if you want to give your desk some Mac Pro cheese grater chick.
Nope.
Yeah, it basically, if you want the Mac style, you know, you want people to think you got a Mac sitting there. PC case maker Dune is launching a Kickstarter for the Dune Pro, which is a Mac Pro like PC case.
That's funny.
Did you go look at this real quick?
Ooh, fine.
go open it up here. Yeah. Oh shoot, I shouldn't have done that. But anyway, here you go. Look, it legit does look like a. There it is. It's got the cheese grater with it. Oh man. So, basically, yeah, it looks remarkably similar to the new Mac Pro with the large stainless steel frame, simple holes for ventilation in the front and back panels, 2 USB-C ports on top of the case, and aluminum enclosure for all of your components. It's missing the Mac Pro's cool swiveling handle that lets you slide off the entire shell to get to the computer's internals. Instead, you're going to have to basically gently pry off the aluminum side to get inside the computer. But, yeah. It's also, of course, missing the custom motherboard. But that's probably not too much of a downgrade. Let's see. If you really want that Mac Pro look, Mac Pro cheese grater look, Dune is also going to be selling a sound dampening accessory. That's an entirely new front panel with latticed holes, I think is how you say that. Anyways, you can also, or if you want one, you can pre-order it on Kickstarter starting on October 21st. So there you go. What do you think?
I think it looks dumb. You know what else I think looks dumb? The real Mac Pro. Like, why does it have handles on the top?
So you can carry it.
Why am I carrying it?
Because you're carrying it to a LAN party. You know, gotta get that gaming on with your Mac Pro. Oh, man.
Whatever.
But Windows Vista.
But why does it look like a cheese grater?
Windows
Then,
Vista.
huh? Why did it have to look like that?
Because somebody at Apple thought that was a good
They
design.
think cheese graters are trendy? Oh, gosh.
You know, Apple's always traditionally been good at creating products that look like something that they shouldn't look like. For instance, the trash can. Yup.
Whatever.
Actually, you know, I'm curious real quick here. Oh, come on. I don't know what Redmond's... Nah. You gave my computer something. Go take your crappy PC and take it over there. Oh, man. The iPhone 11 Pro. With the triangle... You've seen the iPhone 11 Pro, haven't you?
Yes.
With
Looks
its
kind of dumb.
with its cameras on the back. Let's see. The no. It's not the iMac Pro, is it? No, not the iMac Pro. Where's the actual... Oh, yeah. The Mac Pro, coming this fall. Let's see here. Let's see. Oh, yeah, here we go. Here are the tech specs. Technical specifications. Configured from an 8-core to 28-core Intel Xeon W processor. So you can get an 8-core, 12-core, 16-core, 24-core, and 28-core processor in your new Mac Pro with up to 100 or 1.5 terabytes of DDR4 ECC memory. Configure 2 MPX modulars with up to 4 GPUs. But okay, does AMD actually, because Nvidia cards aren't supported? Can you even because the word oh gosh because SLI was an Nvidia thing. By the way, why did Nvidia drop SLI?
Because it was kind of terrible.
Was it really?
Yeah.
So why not improve it?
Well, I mean, it worked fine. So saying it's terrible is not quite true. But the problem with SLI is that a game developer has to actually support it. And in order for the support to be, for it to work well, I'm if I remember correctly, it, required a considerable effort from the developer. And most developers didn't even bother because the percentage of people using multiple GPUs was so low that they would put in all of this dev time for a very small fraction of users.
Makes sense. So, what
In,
does
in other words, if it was more popular, it would have worked better.
right?
But
Yeah.
it wasn't more popular because it didn't work very good.
So does AMD have
So
something similar to that then?
Crossfire, I don't
Oh,
even know if they
Crossfire.
support that anymore either.
Well, okay, but see, here's the interesting thing. So you can configure your new Mac Pro with up
I
to
think they
4
actually do.
GPUs. So like
They do support it.
Like yeah. So now what? Okay.
Why you would have 4 GPUs?
No,
I don't.
I was just about to ask that question. I can totally see why you would have 4 GPUs.
I don't know why you would do
No,
that.
I can. Okay, for like a lot of 3D rendering and things like that. Like think of like a movie like Avatar. Where it was like,
Okay, fine, but don't you do that rendering remotely then if you're a movie studio?
Okay, you probably have a render farm.
Exactly.
But, okay, hang on. If you're using a couple of these as your render farm, though, because let's say you're using something like Adobe, well, you're probably not using Adobe, but you're probably likely running some kind of software, and let's say it is Adobe. Let's say you're rendering a TV show out or something like that. You've got your Mac Pro sitting over there in your render closet or whatever, or your render space, right? And it's got four GPUs that are all linked together in Crossfire, to bridge their capabilities, right? And then what you do is you set up a watch folder, you edit your content, right, on likely another Mac Pro, right? And then you send it over there, right? And then it just it spits it out. So, I mean, you have to remember the Mac Pro is for creative types, and this is legitimately meant for people that have that kind of money. So, anyway, I'm not gonna say that it's a horrible. Well, you could build the same thing theoretically inside of a. Could you? How many GPUs does a normal motherboard support?
You'd basically be looking at as many GPUs as can fit in the motherboard.
No, but aren't you do you run out of PCI lanes? Is there enough?
Well, you'll either run out of slots or your CPU has a certain number of PCIe lanes.
Right,
yes,
that's what I meant. Yeah. Are you gonna run out of lanes? Like
on my old CPU, the 4790K, only 16 lanes. Only 16 lanes. And your X16 slot, that's 16 lanes right there. So if you have any other PCIe devices hooked up on an older CPU like that, your GPU is probably running in 8 mode, right? Which doesn't really matter because PCIe has a absolute ton of bandwidth. So
yeah.
But and that bandwidth is only increasing with the arrival of PCIe 4. But one thing that has, I think, actually been pushed a lot by Ryzen that's good, that I like, that should have been a thing way sooner, is the proliferation of more PCIe. For a long time, your average i7 CPU had 16. Now they have tons. I don't even know how many they have. Enough that you don't care, really.
Yeah, it's interesting to see what's happening with the market. So, I mean, supposedly though, AMD processors are getting more expensive though.
You know what else Intel did in response to AMD? They slashed the price on their X series CPU.
Yeah, but not by much, I heard.
Yeah, and they claimed it was they made some rather silly claims about the reasoning for that. Oh, it wasn't because of Ryzen. No. We cut those prices for our customers because we just love them so much and we want them to be able to upgrade.
Did you say it was
our
the X
stuff.
Series?
Yes.
Wait, what?
They're high-end desktop parts.
Are these okay? So these are supposed to compete with what? Threadripper?
They're supposed to compete with Threadripper, yeah.
Okay.
But even at their new prices, like, it's just gonna be a dumpster fire
Yeah, the
compared to
Core
Threadripper. Like, you just
i9-9900X.
can't compete with the number of cores that Threadripper
Wait.
is
Hang
gonna
on,
have.
hang on. Okay. The Core i9. Oh, wait. What is the top end Threadripper on the market right now?
Well, Threadripper 3 doesn't exist yet.
Okay, so the top end Threadripper 2s.
Wouldn't it be 18 cores, I think? No, Intel has 18 cores. I think they have 24 cores. I don't know.
Look it up.
Relax, I'm typing.
Threadripper 2.
Oh no, they got 32 cores. I'm stupid. How did I forget that? Wow.
Wait, okay, so you've got the... Hang on. Okay, so do you have the pricing then, too?
The 32 core chip. How much does that cost? It costs like $2,000 or so. It's quite expensive.
What is it? The 2990WX?
2990WX.
Oh, yeah.
$1,500. $1,500 will buy you 32 cores of Threadripper 2.
Okay, well, so here's the thing.
Not really any point to buy that now, though, when Threadripper 3 is going to be out soon.
Well, yeah, okay, hang on. So, the top end Core i9-9900X X series processor is 10 cores and 20 threads. So where's the equivalent? Let's see. Let's see here. Okay, so
The equivalent in Threadripper would be...
there isn't one.
There isn't an equivalent. There's
You've
only
got-
12 cores.
You've got 8 and 16
Well,
and
8
12 and
and
24.
Yeah.
What's the difference between the 1920X and the 2920? Oh, no, never mind.
Threadripper 1. Don't even look for that far back. No point.
That was a dumb question. I realized it as soon as where's the pricing though? Oh, okay. So, the Threadripper 2920X, 12 cores, right? Will run
Sure.
you $398.48. The top end Core i9-9900X X series processor with 10 cores and 20 threads will run you, any guesses, Zach?
At least twice that.
So where does that put us?
Like 800.
Yeah, $799.99.
Wow. Not very good.
Yeah.
Seems.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, now obviously you do have to remember that Threadripper 2 is a tad, but I mean, in terms of productivity applications, it just doesn't matter.
Did you didn't end up going Threadripper, did you?
Oh, I have a 3900X.
Yeah, screw you.
Yeah.
Screw you.
You know what's funny is I'm darn glad I got it at launch, because guess how much they go for now?
Yeah, the prices rose.
Like $800+.
Yeah.
Woo-hoo.
Well, didn't they
I could sell it and make money, but
didn't
I
their,
like
didn't their
use it.
supply like there's not as many chips available now, I think
The
is what it is?
supply kind of evaporated, yeah.
Well, okay, but I think that's true for Intel right now too, isn't it? Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
Say that again?
I thought that kind of happened to Intel too, though.
Ah, yeah, Intel was having some supply issues as well.
Yeah. So, anyway. All right. Well, that's what I got for this week. So, anyway, I don't have anything else. Yeah. Thanks for joining us. Thumbs up if you liked it. Thumbs down if you didn't. Comment down below. Get subscribed if you haven't done that already. Turn on the bell for notifications. And, yeah. I think that's it. Bye. We shall see you next week. I think we should. Bye.